Hey everyone, welcome to today's video, where we'll be talking about how Farcaster works. Cool, so let's dig in. The first thing I want to cover is basically about what do we mean by centralized social media and really defining the problem. So right now, there's basically your big networks, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that may or may not be controlled by the same people at the end of the day. And they basically are the most dominant social networks, as you know. They own all of your data. They can delete or hide things that they don't like. And also, they can choose how they want to monetize the algorithms in your data however they feel like, even if it means to the detriment of the quality of the platform. And you kind of see this a lot with, I think most platforms have about a 10-year life cycle before they basically start to degrade because the incentives of monetization kick in, but you're kind of screwed because your data is stuck on the platform. So that's basically how I define centralized media, social media in a quick roundup. Now, when we think about decentralized social media, one key difference is that it basically acts a bit more like not a democracy, but more of everyone is an equal. And what do I mean by that? Well, essentially, you basically own your data. So if you want to view it, download it, or take it somewhere else, you easily can. It also means that no one can take down your posts effectively. Now, we'll get into this a bit more detail, but because you own that data and it's available everywhere, you can't really delete it. And this is kind of where a lot of the benefits of decentralization and permissionless technologies come in. And the third really cool bit is that you can basically use any app, or you can take your data to another place. So we'll kind of get into what these means, but I just want to start this off by laying off the general purpose principles. So now that we've kind of got that backdrop, let's talk about what is Farcaster. So Farcaster, in essence, is what we call a sufficiently decentralized, it's a bit long, network. Cool. So it's basically a sufficiently decentralized social network where the way they brand it isn't that it's fully decentralized, versus as in some parts of the app are centralized where your data can be deleted or monetized, but it is sufficiently decentralized, as we mentioned here, for the core bits that matter. And what's really cool about this is it's kind of the best way to describe Farcaster is a hybrid between Twitter and Reddit. You kind of have to download the app to get into the nuances of why that kind of feels the case, but that's kind of like a quick overview. And rather than things being tweets, they're called costs, hence Farcaster. And you own all your data, so meaning you can actually use different apps and move between them. And what I think ultimately makes it really special is that when you're on Farcaster, you're at the end of the day connected to an EVM, or for those who might know, let's just simplify it as an Ethereum-based cryptographic address, which means that you're now starting to bridge all the things that you're doing on chain into this social network, which is actually a really cool blend as we kind of get into it. So let's go a bit more deeper into what do we actually mean by sufficiently decentralized. Essentially, it's not that it means that, well, let me just use a different color here. Let's go with orange. Cool. It means that effectively there's enough of the core functions of the network cannot be stopped and can kind of be built on permissionlessly. And the reason why this is done is that it basically allows the developers to move quickly for the bits that they're uncertain about, but then kind of solidify the bits that they are certain about. Because making things decentralized actually takes a lot of engineering work. And the way that they kind of monetize it is by ensuring that there's a free marketplace for people to use or consume that data how they want, but they have one of the horses in the bet. So I'll kind of like maybe just draw a quick illustration here. So you can imagine this is Farcaster, the protocol. And then over here, you have all the different clients. So the main client is called Warpcast. So essentially, as long as your data lives on the Farcaster protocol, any of the clients that sit on top of it can access this data. I'll draw 2 arrows here. So like there's one called Supercast, and this can actually be anyone. And this is kind of where the benefits of a sufficiently decentralized network come in, where Warpcast, which is the primary client, may have some features above the other ones, but the core data, which is, let's say, like who you follow, your tweets, or let's call them costs, basically live inside here. So that being said, let's go one layer deeper into explaining how it actually works. And it's quite neat. So in our classic style, we're gonna get a stick. And this stick person is gonna be called Sarah. So Sarah is someone who loves social media, but is tired of the lack of privacy due to her outspoken views about political topics, supposedly. And she's heard about Farcaster, so she decides to give it a try. Now, because you have to remember Farcaster is a protocol, she's going to go ahead and download the Warpcast app, which is secretly running, or not secretly, but is a client on top of the Farcaster network. Now, when she opens Warpcast for the first time, she needs to create an account. And when she creates an account, it'll actually, in the background, create a public-private key pair for her, or let's just say, I'm going to greatly oversimplify, but an Ethereum account in the background. And by creating this account, what she can then actually do is sign up to the Farcaster protocol. We'll get to Warpcast in a second, but it's important that she registers on the Farcaster protocol before using any of the clients such as Warpcast. So in order to do that, there's 3 key things that kind of happen. There is the ID registry, then there is the storage registry, and then there is the key registry. Now, in essence, the ID registry will record which Farcaster IDs will belong to which Ethereum-based accounts. So think of it as, that's right. So yeah, when you sign up to Farcaster, you basically have an FID that's basically given. And the FID will then link to these Ethereum-based accounts. So that's kind of one process. And then the key registry will basically say for 0xABC, it links to this certain FID. So you can kind of imagine these 2 things as being the same thing in essence. Now, one second, I just want to double check that for a second. Sorry, I actually got these the wrong way around. I was a bit unsure on that. This is the key registry, and this is the ID registry. So basically, this just means that if I'm a developer, I can say, hey, if I've got this Farcaster ID, oh, wait a minute, no, I actually did. Sorry, guys, I actually did get that right, though. No. Cool, no. This is not right. There's the key registry and the ID registry. The key registry is basically your Farcaster ID to an Ethereum address. And this is basically an Ethereum address to a Farcaster ID. Don't know why that tripped me up. Anyway, these are details. The key thing here is the storage registry. The storage registry will basically say how many storage units you have. And this is kind of the next concept in the Farcaster protocol. So in order to prevent spam, you have to buy storage units, which basically dictate how much data you can actually store on the network. And this basically means that people aren't spamming the network in itself. Once your network has used all of its storage up, then all your older content, so if this is your content, all your older content will be pruned away in the network. It will still exist out there, but it just depends if someone actually has it. So this basically means that someone's being paid or incentivized to manage all the storage in the network. So going back to Sarah, she's registered for the Farcaster protocol. She's got a record in the key registry, in the ID registry, and the storage registry. She's now good to go and start using Warpcast via the Farcaster protocol. So what happens next is pretty cool. So I'm just going to draw an arrow here, and now Sarah casts hello world in the app. So typically you will have this message posted to a server, like Twitter servers or whatever, and then it gets distributed out to everyone. In Farcaster, it works a little differently, and the way that it works is known through basically what's the hub protocol or the hub network. So hub network. And the hub network is a collection of computers or nodes, however you want to define that communicate within or to each other. So when Sarah casts hello world to the hub network, it goes to this network. And when this, let's say it's this node right here that receives the message, what it's going to be looking for is, okay, this hello world message, it was signed by 0x123. Let's suppose that's Sarah's public address. And then, so let's just say this is the message. This is the key, and then there will be a resulting hash, which is literally gibberish. The actual hub over here will verify, was it Sarah's key, 0x123, that has signed this message? And if the answer is yes, the hub will say, cool, this is a valid message. I'm going to pass it on to the other hubs. And this message will eventually be consistent with the state of all the other hubs. So at the same time, like this hub is receiving another message, this hub is receiving another message. And the thing about this is the way these hubs interact is known through the gossip protocol, which ensures things will eventually be consistent. So when Sarah actually posts a cost, at first, this hub over here, which if you're, let's say, using warp cost and connect to this hub, you might not actually see this message straight away, but eventually you will see all the messages consistently. And that's kind of where the magic of this comes in. So all off-chain things such as costs, reactions, frames, which I'll explain in a second, go through this hub network. And the reason why this happens is because when you're doing things on chain, it's really expensive, or it costs money, like to make a transaction, to store data. But with the hub network, because it's not directly on chain but still via decentralized network, it's cheap and gives you that experience of using a normal social network just with crypto in the back end. And I just want to quickly touch on frames real quick. Frames are a really cool invention where when you're in your newsfeed, or cost feed, I think it's newsfeed, or feed, let's call it, developers can actually create what's known as frames, where they can have an image here and then these different buttons. These buttons can then do an action on chain, but also the frames can show and load different information based on your Ethereum address, which, as you remember, we connected when registering to the protocol. And you can associate different Ethereum addresses or multiple Ethereum addresses to your Farcaster account. So these basically frames, like I like to think of them as mini apps inside your social feed, which you can actually do a ton of really cool things with. So anyway, that's, without getting too much into details, that's kind of like how Farcaster works at a very high level. Now, in terms of, I think, the bigger picture and, like, I guess why it matters, or what this kind of, like, unlocks in the future, I want to spend a bit of time on that. So the key thing is that if you have all this data that's, at the end of the day, linked to an FID, which is linked to an Ethereum address, it basically means you're building a decentralized identity. And the really cool bit about this identity is it can follow you anywhere you want to take it. So if you sign up to a different Farcaster client, basically all your data will load back up. If you're browsing on a different app that knows that, hey, this Ethereum address is connected to this FID, which means I can get all of this data, so like how many followers you have, how many messages you sent, etc., or how much clout you have on the platform, that's actually now available. So yeah, there's also some cool stuff where you can like buy and sell Farcaster accounts. The second bit is it's unopinionated social media to an extent. So the key bit with most platforms is that you can set the algorithm, the creator set the algorithm, and that's how you're forced to consume it. So with Farcaster, you can create your own client, as I kind of mentioned here, on top of the protocol, and have a completely different algorithm. So you could actually just, if you don't like the algorithm, create your own version if you want. And the other really cool bit is around content monetization. So in traditional social media, you've kind of got like things to subscribe to, buy, access people's tweets and things, but they've never really taken off. The thing that has kind of been big is this whole experience of frames, where you can have things such as like, hey, if you support me, pay 0.X to mint this NFT or something along those lines. Or like, hey, make a donation directly from your Warpcast feed. So this basically means that it's the platform starts to look more and more like a commerce feed if you want it. So yeah, in terms of what I think the downsides or risks are, basically just comes down to like content. Is the content on Farcaster going to be as good as the content on Twitter? Some people think so. I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. And then I think the other bit is really just around the spam and bots. It can also be quite problematic on Farcaster because you basically just, as long as you pay for storage units, you can sign up on the network. So it is harder to distinguish signal between noise. But anyway, that's really about it. Give it a check out. And yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. I know it's been a while since I made a video, but definitely trying to get back into the habit. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Bye.